So I decided to go out to the lake this time and see if I could get some inspiration from the scenery around me. It's my first time painting outdoors, actually. It felt kind of cool. I don't know, I kind of was like, yo, people used to do this back in the day and still do. I've seen several people come out with their whole setup and it's a beautiful thing. I don't know, to see a painter outside. But also, I was nervous. I don't know, just like being exposed. But it was really just beautiful. I went in the morning, and weren't many people there, and the lake was just really still. It wasn't completely still, but it's been a little bit choppy lately. So finally it's calmed down and it was really beautiful. Of course, I jumped in, had a little swim, and then, oh wait, but before that, I got on my yoga mat. I did some yoga to kind of just like heat up and like just stretch, limber up. Then I jumped in. It was so good. You could see all the way down to the bottom. It was this blue green color. It was really nice. And then I got out, went back to start unpacking, and I saw that in one of my bags, my partner had put a mango in there, and that was a surprise, a wonderful, wonderful surprise, and for that I'm extremely thankful because it was delicious. There's nothing like coming out from a swim and then just eating a nice mango when the sun is hitting your face. Like, come on. And then you're seeing the skyline. Ooh, boy. I'm telling you. It was exquisite is the word. But anyway, same as last time, I just kind of let the brush do whatever it's gonna do, and then I try to get an idea on, like, as I'm doing it. Okay, like this is kind of like where I want to go with it. I definitely still wanted to keep the kind of like the mountain element that I this similar to the one I did last. So yeah, I just let the brush go, and then I came up with some little bit of these two mountains. I was gonna do a little bit of a pass, like a path on the side of a mountain is kind of like what I was going for, but as you'll see later on, it kind of turned into something else. And then I was thinking I wanted something in between the mountains like last time, so but I didn't want it to be water. I wanted it to be kind of like a forest. Yeah, I wanted it to be a forest. And originally, I was gonna do the forest in kind of like a bluish, greenish kind of vibe. But then I just got the idea to make it red. I don't know. I was thinking about like a fall forest kind of vibe, and I really like that. Then I had drawn like a little rectangular area with some squares, and I don't know. Like initially, I was thinking when I did the squares, I was thinking about like the Chinese character for mouth. So I was thinking like, oh, like when I was drawing it out with the brush, I was like, oh, like okay, these are like the little mouths that are here, like in this like, little village that I'm gonna paint later on. But then when I got to it, I don't know, like, I wanted, see, because I wanted to have this idea of, like, the nature basically being all encompassing, and then you have like a little something element, human element that contrasts with it. So I was gonna do a little village, and so I did the rectangle because I wanted it to be kind of neat and ordered, like the idea of, like, you don't see a perfect uh, triangle or square or whatever they say out in nature. So the rectangle represents that kind of like structure and rigidity. And then, yeah, I was gonna have the squares inside, but then I don't know, like, I just kind of felt like highlighting the squares the way that I was doing it, or even just having them there. I just felt like the human element presence was way too much. I wanted it, I wanted it to be more like dial it back and be not dial it back, but like it for it to be more symbolic. And for me, just the rectangle on its own is powerful enough, I think, to convey that idea of like order and structure that we basically impose onto the elements around us. And then I just did green because I was thinking, you know what, like this could be like a prayer, not a prairie, but like a clearing. I was thinking of the word clearing. I don't know when it just came into my mind prior to doing this painting. Well, yeah, because I mean the inspiration, even though, yeah, like I'm letting the brush do its thing, but the intention behind this, the feeling that I was feeling when I approached it is like I had read something in the news about Palestine, and like seen some footage of like just people being like carried out of ambulances and all that stuff, and seen the bombs just like go and shake the cameras and shit, people running everywhere. Like, it is just like, bro, I don't even know the words. It's horrible to say the very least, but I'm just like, damn, not even but, no, and I'm saying, like, when will it end? When will people stop with the bullshit? Like, I don't understand why things are so divided. And I'm not talking about like in a political sense or anything like that. I'm just talking about like as humans. Like, why do we keep doing this? Like, killing each other and all this shit just like for land, and then like you have all these maps and shit. I'm reminded about what my friend, he had said something. It was a question of like who decides like where the lines reside or something like that. And shout out Julian. Yeah, it just kind of like it does. It is a question that is constantly being challenged, as much as like somebody wants to like roll their eyes at this like philosophical notion of like, oh yeah, like who gets to draw the lines. But I mean, like, yeah, though, like for real, like who is making who are the individuals that are coming together to make these decisions, and why do they choose to handle it the way that they do? Like, I don't presume to be well read in like geopolitics, But it just seems to me like it's just some of the same old motherfucking bullshit of people just wanting. And mixed together with, of course, fear and propaganda and all this shit. But then at the end of the day, you have real people on, it seems to me, based on what I've heard, what I've read, both sides of the situation, that are wanting peace. So, why can't we make that happen? Obviously, a question that is, I mean, like I say, like I can hear a voice saying something like that's just a naive question. Like, if we could make it happen, we would. But that's the thing is, like, this problem that we have that is not new. Like, why can't we evolve past that? I don't understand. And that being like resorting to mistreating each other to such an extent when we are more than capable as a human race to do and accomplish incredible motherfucking tasks. Like, think about, like, like people actually looked at the moon and were like, we're gonna go there. Now, that definitely seems like something that is just like, well, doy, like, of course we can do it, like, whatever, like, you grow up with that fact already being introduced to you. But if you go back far enough, I mean, just go outside and look at the moon and tell me how you would figure out how the fuck to get there. But people did it. Like, people banded together and did something incredible. And it doesn't even have to be monumental. Because, okay, we're getting somewhere. We're having this big achievement or whatever the heck. But I mean, it could also be things in the sociological, like, realm or whatever the hell. Like, people have been able to forgive. People have been able to grow and mature emotionally, psychologically as well, and have shown great feats, like, in that regard as well. Acts of kindness and all this stuff. So, we're definitely more than capable of doing this. So, I don't know. All I do know is that, like, just fucking stop killing people. Like, can we not find another way? I don't, yeah. And forgive me, I can't say that I'm an expert in any of what's really going on in any situation, truly. Be it, the war over there with Palestine, or the war in Ukraine or whatever other war I don't know that's going on. You got the migrant situation. Like, there's shit that is just constantly happening. And it's these cycles, just these cycles of just like misery and pain and just like fucking just a bunch of bad shit. I am hopeful that people will continue to grow like as a species and we'll be able to, but I don't know, man. It's like sometimes I just feel, and I don't necessarily want to feel this way, but sometimes I do feel like maybe we're just too much. I mean, we're just animals, and perhaps uh, it sounds stupid to say, but it just like perhaps we've reached our limit of what we're capable. Like, there are certain more primitive, like, I don't know, features, like, like your need to acquire food and water and like sex and all that stuff, like, is, I don't know, like, can we not create societies that are more based on trust between individuals? Like, I don't know. Like, what are the limits? And like, I'm not over here like, oh, yes, I'd like one utopia, please. One utopia. No. Like, I understand that it's difficult, incredibly complex to manage a lot of people. But but that doesn't mean that just because this is an incredibly complex task that it is beyond criticism. Like, there are ways that we can improve, and it does not require us to, or this level of mistreatment of people and the fundamental distrust that truly governments have toward their people, with of course varying degrees. Anyway, so yeah, that's what I was feeling. I just was like looking at just the beautiful scenery around me and just thinking to myself, like, wow, there is conflict somewhere right now. There is always, it seems, some conflict going somewhere right now. And I don't know, perhaps I needed some place to go. Maybe in doing this painting, it kind of, like I say, sometimes I feel like it takes me in there, and there's for a moment some solace, some peace. It's easier said than done, but we gotta do better, and we can do better. I just feel like we really do have a long way to go. Like, to understand the human mind, it's very recent, even like uh, all of these ideas of even just talking about how we talk about the mind now, and how we talk about mental health and all that stuff. Like, we've just that's kind of a modern field. So I feel like we are making some sort of progress, but it's gonna take a while, I think, before we come into more equitable societies, and ones that are less, full of conflict. I mean, that's the hopeful part in me, the idealistic part. But then there's this whole other wall of history that says otherwise, that says, like, oh, killing people over land, and just because whatever reason, insert reason here. Yeah, that shit's been going on literally forever. So, what kind of change do you expect? You have this notion that this progress is linear, but you could be reverting. You're not even going any like going reverting. You're not even reverting. You're evolving into something different. And that doesn't necessarily always mean a good thing. But I would still counter that humanity has made strides, and things perhaps aren't as harsh as they used to be. I'm not sure. But it feels like more people live more peacefully, relatively speaking. So that must suggest, while the change isn't necessary, might not necessarily be linear, that we are evolving towards something that is, just like a better setup for everybody. And again, I know it's easy to just talk about whatever, like, and muse and all this crap, but I mean, shit, man. What else am I supposed to do except that people are just going to continue to mindlessly, or with intention, whatever, calculatingly, systematically destroy each other? Like, anyway, so yeah, this painting. Yeah, people. What can I say? Fucking people. It certainly does feel hard to believe that change can occur, at least on the individual level. But it truly does take all of us, but also, yeah, like at a certain level within your sphere of influence, a lot of change can result. Because, I mean, in the end, isn't it all what it boils down to is a network of interactions between people? So, if those interactions can be affected, then maybe little by little, yeah, it can certainly affect the whole. I mean, shit, look at pop culture. Like, we can make anything, it seems, happen. Tell whatever story we want. Have, you know, a vision of the reality that we wish. I'm going to choose to remain hopeful. Just because it makes me feel good, honestly. I mean, if everything is just beyond my control or arbitrary or whatever the hell, I mean, what good would it do me to further strip myself from whatever autonomy or power that I do have? As cheesy as it may sound, I mean, shit, it really does begin with you. Yeah, shit, with you. Of course, but then still, there are people suffering currently, so while I can think about all these things, like there are people that are really, really suffering. So it's hard not to feel powerless in this situation. Anyway, that's kind of like what I've been thinking about recently.